Guess who IGN saliva shine? Gaming's biggest flop of all time. Worst optics you think you can afford. LGBT Sony Concord. Make cash money off simple losers. Gay is the drug, the woke of the users. Wukong monkey move all consoles. Kyle deep skull fuck reach your tonsils. Developers pronouns zip and shush. Communicating is just too much. $40 value intellectual. Fat black dark lipstick pansexual. Sell unethically. It's unplayable. Catastrophe caliber not conveyable. We actually want you to keep this up. Double digit players. What the fuck? Hello, beta testers. Like and subscribe to join the change so terrifying, they're desperate to silence it. Since Helldivers 2's greed incentivized Concord's $40 price point and an inability to learn from past mistakes mandated PSN accounts, everyone said, hell no. But of course, if the game were as good as the shills want people to believe, it would have had more interest, even during its open public beta. Nevertheless, Concord proudly boasts its DEI design, which cratered player interest. IGN rates the biggest flop of all time a 7 out of 10. They call Concord's characters instantly charming. Does this seem in line with not just the average player sentiment, but the majority of players? At the time of recording, the review from IGN sits at barely 1,000 likes versus 14,000 dislikes. Beta tester, please like and comment on this video to get it to at least 5,000 likes, just to convince me I can do better than IGN, and to succinctly inform any confused about the activists that they're dealing with. So, they rate Concord a 7. IGN also rates government-funded propaganda game Dustborn a 7. Dustborn could not achieve 100 concurrent players. Concord and its ugly woke characters could not achieve 1,000 concurrent players. What would you rate Ubisoft's slop, Skull and Bones? Because IGN rated it a 7. Is 7 bad? Here's how they delivered their 7 rating for Star Wars Outlaws.
The odds of avoiding the many glaring technical issues present at launch is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Glaring technical issues gets you a 7. 10,000 likes versus 32,000 dislikes. Notice the difference in interest. 100,000 views versus 670,000 views. Would you say that Wukong is buggier than Cyberpunk at launch? A reminder that Cyberpunk was in such a terrible state on console that it was delisted from PSN. IGN rated Cyberpunk a 9 and Wukong an 8, claiming bugs that they apparently could not show. Are Wukong's technical issues glaring? I don't think so, but I'm thankfully not IGN. This is how these games perform. Note how absolutely inconsistent they seem to be, with review scores lazily issued by IGN. Can we look at the first Descendant, which has appealing characters that go in the exact opposite direction of the woke, forced ugly, sensitivity consultant so masculine digital woman direction? The triggered IGN naturally rated the first Descendant a 5, and to give perspective, IGN rated Saints Row Reboot and Forspoken a 6. Both those studios no longer exist, by the way. Yet, 2 months after this game's launch, they can manage over 60,000 players. Recently, an update unveiling a new beautiful Descendant launched, and even with a negative reaction to the grind necessary to unlock her, the developers quickly reacted, nailing the issues, verbatim mentioning them in their update that came hours after people took issue. The developers reacted that fast. From a business perspective, I almost respect the attempt to milk the suckers who would buy in instantly and nourish this free-to-play game, while they understand that you can't exactly get away with keeping it this way. The Korean developer isn't choking on ESG, DEI, or sensitivity consultant cock enough to refuse digital women femininity, something the West will be forced to learn again, lest they suffer our sealed wallet consequences. They're well educated in what to look for because they avoid it very well. Before Concord's launch, Firewalk's sensitivity-cocooned developers dismissed loud, articulate, and overwhelming player disgust for the deliberately repulsive designs, and since launch, even with player numbers falling to double digits, making it so that there's single-digit matches going on in the world, the developers have said nothing. All that Sony money behind them, they sat aside an episode of the upcoming anthology show for Concord. God of War is the only other PlayStation game singled out, but I guess the few entities that somehow found Concord worth their time matter as much to Sony as the vision of a Korean developer like Shift Up who was forced to censor their game to meet Sony's DEI standards when Baldur's Gate and The Last of Us can have naked, sexual, and okay because it's gay agenda bullshit in it. So we live in a world where 94,000 people would sign a petition to get your stupid ass to stop censoring things, Sony. But you can't get 1,000 people, you can't get 700 players concurrently on your woke, ugly game. So, recently Sweet Baby Inc.'s game, Sushi Squad, delivered by the husk that used to be Rocksteady, literally has gender swapped, race swapped, and even age swapped previously femme fatale characters to represent their ugly fetish. They have to cover up any femininity that came before because it's not really objectifying. They're just triggered by it because, like you're seeing on the internet right now from a certain group, they don't like when other people do what they're doing. Rules for thee, but not for me. Sushi Squad resulted in a $200 million loss for Warner Brothers. So yes, I have no hesitation making the claim that this will cost Sony just as much and more, because this was hands down less interesting than a Rocksteady game, which meant something before the woke losers that are making games now got their hands on it. Tossie says that Wukong was an exclusive, but with so many of these woke journalists telling frequent lies because of what they want the news to be as opposed to what the news is, them injecting their own sentiment in these therapy sessions they're calling articles, keep reporting your 25,000. When I see the name Rebecca Valentine, the liar trying to paint Wukong devs as sexist, who ran from Twitter because as a lady journalist, she has accountability like Concord has players, telling everybody to trust her translator friend who, unironically, with his activist ass, says things like, "Do I hate white people? Yes." Another games journalist, except they rarely even cover games, screeches and feminist about how sandy her pussy is over a lack of diversity in a freaking animal game, and ended up self-reporting because if they made it past the goddamn title screen, their brain damage might have granted the clarity enough to see that there were in fact women in there, but you're a fucking tourist. By definition, you don't play the games, but you got shit to talk. As a feminist, as a woman, grant special perspective. Perspective to what? Talk about Kool-Aid without knowing the flavor? And you people are drowning in the Kool-Aid, ironically, but it's all performative. So it's figurative. Circling back to the 25,000 reporting, Eurogamer's Vicky Blake jumped up to parrot it, and I'm immediately reminded of her article claiming that Final Fantasy wasn't diverse enough. Sound familiar, beta tester? And that people who were planning to boycott the game is what she's going to make her article about. But where did she go to get the votes to prove this point? Reset Era, of course, a public forum so woke you may struggle to find a more woke one on the surface internet. But in a truly hilarious turn of events, even Reset Era did not respond the way entity Vicky hoped. So she, her, with respect to her pronouns, which I'm unaware of as I've been blocked by any of the people threatened by me telling the truth, she was forced to write, However, at the time of writing, over 1,200 players have responded to the poll, but just 2.9%, that's around 40 people, are intending to intentionally boycott the release, with 72.8% still committing to buying it despite the issues you invented, the lack of diversity issues. It never ends with these people, and the more you uncover, the more you realize why people feel so strongly. Just over 1,000 PlayStation users got the easiest achievement in Concord, which is for getting 1 kill. And since it's one of those mamby-pamby new school, oh, just get a hit marker and the kill will count type of pussy fucking cringe fests, all they need to do is play a single match to get it. So less than 700 on PC, and let's be generous and say 10,000 on PlayStation. Where the fuck did 14,000 come from? Bunch of developers buy the game and then they didn't fucking play it. Everybody keep your eyes out for a landfill. See what's up. See how ET this is really gonna get. A reminder that nothing I ever say is an open invitation to ever interact with or engage with any of these people that I consider contagious. I ask you to stay away from them, especially entities like those inhabiting Insomniac Games who have time to block me while they're busy rewriting another culture's language, who are too identity obsessed to make a fucking game without wasting half the budget and time on stupid shit like having a big issue with fucking feminine presenting animal people. It should be as simple as answering the question, would more furries or people buy this if the girl was cute? Yet instead, something that should take no time is now taking a lot of time, so it's no wonder a fucking culture of Me Tooing is happening inside these goddamn studios. To the modders, autists, and beta testers who need a reminder that some of the greatest games were mixed up by a couple of dudes in a fucking room together, man, remember, avoid these politically driven narcissists. Remember them wasting time getting triggered by a cute anthro fox. Imagine how out of touch and lacking they need to be to dismiss the money on the table for representing that if you don't need to present feminine to be a real woman. But when you see somebody with something in their trousers that makes you feel like that's not genuine, you got a big problem with it, despite you may be going to even less effort to go in the other gender's direction, but demanding everybody bow to your genjutsu that you just thrust yourself into. You know why Wukong is special to me? It feels like a labor of love, and it demonstrates respect. Games suck these days because they're busy trying to disrespect, denigrate, downgrade, and destroy what came before, when the irony is the only way that this woke shit that they need to peddle would ever see the light of day is by attaching it to an IP, a lesson that Concord and Dustborn are going to reinforce. You have to be a parasite. They're making the drink alcohol free and expecting people to pay the same price. They're trying and failing to gaslight you out of your fucking preference. But you know damn well what you want. And if you're feeling frisky and want to spend, make eye contact with the sexy, cool, entertaining, anti-woke, authentic experiences crafted by passionate people in their space respectively, and show them what deserves the fucking money. Observe them doing their job so poorly that a few words into an AI could produce better results, more profitable resorts. It's sad, not for them, but for the people who could have had their jobs after that will be replaced by a fucking robot because these wankers only see themselves, and it's always only ever about them. All I ever think about is how many Jim Carreys are slipping through the cracks, how much one-of-a-kind talent that could reach both sides of the aisle and have everybody laughing doesn't get a fucking voice because algorithms, fucking governments are backing these woke, talentless pussies for agreeing with current thing. Because they're incentivized by academies, not unlike Jeff Keighley's Game Awards, to just favor the disability, the fat, the black, the vitiligo, the albino, the pronouns, the politics, not about merit, not about talent. Not even about like beauty. You know how much you can get away with just a pretty person? You don't think Selma Hayek and fucking Halle Berry were doing a hell of a lot more for fucking racism than any of you assholes are doing? You're going backwards. This is a detriment to your cause. A shout out to Stacey Henley of The Gamer and all the other entities who must other and divide people as if it is apparently a prerequisite as a transgender journalist. You are a detriment to your cause. People view you as someone who is a troll doing this to deliberately put you motherfuckers a couple steps back. What are you doing? Defending proud sweet baby ink racists isn't enough, apparently. But I have another disgusting truth to pinch out, hoping, of course, it's not another kink for these humiliation-loving pieces of shit. Have any of us bullied people like they did during Hogwarts Legacy? Did we run off VTubers or prevent big streamers from doing charity streams for trans causes because you're stupid? That you stopped the money going to your causes because you're such a narcissist? Did we transplain to literal war survivors? You know how many fucking content creators I know that are just sitting on things that happened surrounding Hogwarts Legacy, waiting for this pendulum to swing right back to where it needed to be. I can go back and watch and hear the people frustrated, the talent, the creatives frustrated, hindered, caged by your sensitivity. And when they're gonna be free to come out, man, if you looking at the mirror crying when you don't have a filter of fucking Instagram on your face, you don't want to hear the types of things that are going to be coming out of people's mouths. I hate you because you're making it worse for all of us. I'm flabbergasted because nobody among those types ever seems to have the ability to rein them in and say, partner, hold on. Dustborn and Concord are paradoxically so bad that they trigger nervous laughter in shock. This garbage actually got made, and we got to be happy that you didn't drag down another fucking thing that people actually like to get it made. But that's what's going to happen in the future because they learned a lesson on the risk that was this, repulsive DEI design slop. You know why I repeat robot has pronouns? Because I've seen the phrase in dozens of languages. When people talk about this game, that's what they talk about. People listen to me in other languages. I don't have to lie or rage bait. Journalists gotta do that, though. Trying to remove breasts and pretty women from video games, from entertainment, is infinitely more triggered than anything that I could ever manage screeching everywhere imaginable on the internet. But we're thankful woke is in a fight with itself, because such an approach was never going to be profitable. What you think does not matter. But I matter enough for you to be here. Haters. I care enough to attempt to inform you, but your cult, your kind, is so narcissism prone that humbling yourself is impossible. Like me snapping my fingers right now and saying I am no different than a woman, it would be delusion. I used to tease with a sprinkling of reality that, of course, selling games is a problem for studios tripping over pretty women as apparently a hurdle. How the game looks is everything. I could beg people to keep applying pressure and voting with their wallets, but I don't think I have to. I think you're your own biggest problem, and what you continue to put in people's faces, it'll be enough to make them go, anything else. Wukong set the records now. Wukong will influence the future. And if you keep making it so that there is no contest between your slop and what they put out, you're going to be in trouble. Especially when the best you could do may be things like Flintlock, where you have to market it as a Souls, even though it's not a Souls game. You see what I mean with the lies? You see what I mean about how easy it is to lose trust? Say whatever you want about me. I'm telling people the truth. My name's Kyle. Concord's team is part of Probably Monsters. You'll become quite familiar with these types of sensitivity groups in the future when some of these documentaries about the woke era in gaming start rolling out, so we can really see how some of the money was wasted. But if there's one thing that we can clock among these types, is that discussion is rarely on the table. Because to them, any disagreement is harassment. They'll lose money until they get that picture. Irony is saying the types of things that they do out loud and not realizing how close they are. Again, I mean it. Thank you for commenting, speaking, making videos, writing articles, liking posts, whatever you're doing to drive engagement. Special thanks to the patrons and the sponsors. Make no mistake, you have now lived through this generation's Atari ET with Sony's lukewarm bowl of DEI dog water named Concord.